Good morning, scholars. This is Miss Aldrich here. I'm sorry I'm not with you today. I hope you understand that sometimes even teachers have to have a day off. Today, I took my cousin Brandon back to the airport in Nashville, which made it impossible for me to be with you today. So I will see you tomorrow on Tuesday. But for right now, I'm going to show you exactly what I want you to do with your Monday, October 26th links and lessons. When you click on your Google Classroom, you're going to select your classwork. When you click on classwork, you're going to see the materials post that says Monday, October 26, 2020 links and lessons. When you click on that post, it's going to have all of the links that you need. The very first link is the lesson that you're watching right now. And it will be posted here after I've recorded it, of course. Today, you're going to learn about Charles Lindbergh. In the past several days, we've been talking about the Roaring Twenties and how the Roaring Twenties really was an awakening in America following World War I. World War I was very devastating. Remember, lots of men died and casualties were rampant all over the world after World War I. It was devastating war. And the Roaring Twenties was really a time that people bounced back from all of that sadness and depression and hard times and really let their hair down and explored different ideas. And Charles Lindbergh was one of those individuals that challenged the limits of flight. Charles Lindbergh was a pilot, and he was an excellent pilot, as a matter of fact. He was the gentleman that you see here in this picture next to his airplane called the Spirit of St. Louis. Charles Lindbergh was well known for being one of the most daring and courageous pilots in the world. And I want us to go ahead and watch this YouTube video about Charles Lindbergh. Let's watch it together.
Charles Lindbergh was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1902. From an early age, Charles had a knack for mechanical things. He learned to drive the family car at age 11. Soon after, he became interested in airplanes. Charles began working for the U.S. Postal Service, delivering mail by airplane. He flew the mail route from St. Louis to Chicago. Soon, Charles heard about a contest offering a prize of $25,000 for the first non-stop flight from New York to Paris. He was excited to enter. A few St. Louis businessmen donated money to build Charles a special plane that could go the far distance. He named the plane the Spirit of St. Louis. On May 20th, 1927, he flew from Long Island, New York, to Paris, France. The 3,600-mile trip took him 33 hours and 30 minutes. At only 25 years old, he became famous for being the first person to cross the Atlantic Ocean by airplane. Besides the award money, he was also awarded the nation's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. After his Atlantic flight, Lindbergh used his fame to promote the development of both commercial aviation and air mail services in the United States and the Americas. He married Anne Moreau in 1929, and they had 6 children. On March 1st, 1932, Charles' infant son was kidnapped from their home. Investigators searched for the baby, but sadly, he was found dead. Charles and Anne were devastated. The Lindberghs were exhausted from the media and public attention following their son's death. To escape the constant attention, they secretly moved to Europe to live in peace. They returned to the United States in 1939. Charles went on to serve in World War I and II and worked on advances in aviation. He passed away in Maui, Hawaii on August 26, 1974.
Charles Lindbergh was part of the face of the 1920s. Despite the sadness that his family endured, he still managed to inspire many explorers during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s with flight. He flew all the way from Long Island, New York, which is very near the Statue of Liberty. That was one of the very starting points for Charles Lindbergh. And he flew all the way to Paris, France, where the Eiffel Tower is here. So Charles Lindbergh, an excellent, excellent example of the spirit of the 1920s. When I return to you on Tuesday, we'll write in some notes about Charles Lindbergh, but today you don't have to worry about it. The next thing that you're going to learn about today is in science. In science, we're going to go ahead and kick it into science. And today I want to introduce to you the next invertebrate group that we're going to study, Worms. Remember, invertebrates are animals that don't have a, you got it, backbone. They don't have a backbone. And so today we're going to look at the next set of animals that do not have a backbone that are invertebrates, worms. Enjoy these two videos with me as we learn about worms, the wonderful world of worms. Your favorite animal, I know.
My. Hey there, how's it going? Today, I'm doing some gardening at home. It'll turn out just great. But wait, what's this? Look, it's an earthworm. So cool. Hey, buddy, don't be shy. Say hi. Well, that reminds me. I have to tell you about this group of invertebrates, the worms. Do you know what kind of animals worms are? I'll explain it to you. Worms have long, soft bodies. Their skin is moist. They breathe through their skin. Interesting, right? As you can see, they don't have legs. That's why they crawl, thanks to their body muscles and their setae. These are tiny bristles that worms use to grip on the soil they move. Worms can live on land, like earthworms, or in the water, like leeches. Be careful if you ever come across them. Do you want me to tell you some interesting facts about worms? Did you know that earthworms are really important for soil health? They dig up burrows, helping to oxygenate the soil and to transport nutrients and minerals as they tunnel along. How long would you say the longest worm ever found measures? 1 foot? 2? 5? Nope. The largest worm ever found measured 180 feet, longer than an Olympic-sized swimming pool. You are a bit smaller. I'm letting you be, so you can grow. Well, guys, I'm going back to my gardening. See you around.
I want you to rewatch that video after we get off this lesson video together and see if you can remember the characteristics that make worms worms. She gives you 3 or 4 characteristics that I want you to remember for tomorrow. Let's watch the next video and see if we can find some more characteristics of worms together. I want you to pay close attention to what makes a worm a worm. What kind of bodies do they have? How do they breathe? How do they move around? Because we're going to put those in our notes tomorrow. Let's watch this one together.
You know, Squeaks and I spend a lot of time underground, and that means we've made a bunch of squirmy little friends. And if you've spent any time digging in the ground, you've certainly met them too. I'm talking about earthworms. These animals are super cool and super hardworking too. Let's see if we can get the dirt on these wiggly worms. First of all, even though you often find earthworms outside where you find insects like ants and beetles, earthworms aren't insects. Can you spot the differences? Remember what makes an insect an insect? 6 legs, 3 main body parts, and a hard exoskeleton. Our earthworm doesn't match that at all. Earthworms have smooth skin and a body made up of many small segments. It kind of looks like they're covered in a lot of little rings. And each segment has small hairs that are almost too tiny to see. And even though they're long and skinny like snakes, they're not snakes. Snakes have a skeleton, and earthworms don't, but they do have strong muscles. In order to move, the earthworm squeezes its muscles together, which makes its body thinner and longer. Then the earthworm uses those little hairs on its body to hold onto the soil around it and pull itself forward. Have you ever seen a bird trying to pull an earthworm out of the ground? The worm can make it hard for the bird because it can actually hang on to the dirt with those tiny little hairs. Now, just like most animals, earthworms have a front end and a back end. Up front, you'll find their mouth and a teeny tiny brain, about the size of a pinhead. But that little brain gets the job done. Earthworms are able to sense light and vibrations, so they know when to wiggle away. And when earthworms need to wiggle away, where do they go? That's right, underground. Earthworms spend most of their time safe in underground tunnels called burrows. It not only keeps them hidden from predators, but that nice, wet soil keeps their skin moist. And that's super important because earthworms need to breathe, just like people do. But they don't do it in the same way. They actually absorb oxygen through their skin. And in order to do that, they need to keep wet. That's why you're most likely to see earthworms when you're digging through damp soil or mud. But maybe you've seen earthworms even when you haven't been making mud pies. Have you ever seen them hanging around on the sidewalk after a rainstorm? A rainy day for an earthworm is a perfect moving day. Sometimes one area becomes too crowded with earthworms, so they need to find a new home. But they need to keep their skin moist while they're out moving around. So earthworms use these soggy days to come out and look for a new place to live. Then back into the ground they go. But the dirt isn't just a safe place for worms to hide, it's also their food. As an earthworm moves through the soil, it's also eating the dirt. Earthworms get their nutrients from dead and decaying parts of plants, like leaves and roots, that are in the soil. And earthworms are hungry. They can eat half their body weight in just one day. But maybe the coolest thing about earthworms, as they munch through the soil, they actually make the soil better for the rest of us. How do they do that? Well, the tiny tunnels that earthworms make as they wiggle through the dirt help bring water and air deep into the ground, and that makes it easier for other living things like plants and fungus to live in it. Plus, as earthworms break down all of those dead plant parts, they help spread around all the nutrients that are in them to make food for new things to grow. Some people even keep earthworms in their garden on purpose. They feed the earthworms things like banana peels and apple cores. Then the worms turn those scraps into compost, a rich, smelly, nutritious kind of plant food made from dead plants. To you, it might just look like trash, but to an earthworm, it's treasure. Healthy earthworms means healthy soil, and healthy soil means healthy people, because we need it to grow plants for our own food. So the next time you come across an earthworm, thank them. They're hard at work helping flowers, trees, grass, and plants grow. And thanks to you for joining us here at SciShow Kids. If there's anything that you'd like to learn more about, ask your parents to help you. Email us at kids@thescishow.com, and we'll see you next time.
Excellent. So on Tuesday, we will be putting in some notes about earthworms, characteristics of earthworms, and why earthworms are important to us. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this short lesson today. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll be doing some active work, getting our notes inside our interactive online notebooks, and learning some new things about another important person from the 1920s, and possibly some more information about worms. See you tomorrow.